Boys stories start planning themselves while you were working on the movie, or is this something that has developed over all this time? Because I feel like Cry Little Sister has had a couple iterations. When they did that sequel, you had more of like a hard rock version that came out, which I thought was awesome, by the way. And now you got Marilyn Manson covering it. And so there's obviously a life around this sort of mythos in this genre. When did this become sort of a musical for you in your mind?
I started thinking about it 7 years ago. Before that, I was thinking I did Fast Times at Ridgemont High, one of the main songs, Look in Your Eyes, in that movie. And I thought that'd be a great musical, very sort of Hairspray factor. And I studied musical theater, and I'm always, in knowing musical theater, you really have to choose your battles. If it's a book you're going to take and make a musical out of, or whatever. And I felt that Fast Times might just be, that too much of a romp for me to do.
Sure.
At that. I thought it's maybe at some point I started to think about Lost Boys, and I know if you know anything about the theater world, vampires have not succeeded very well on the theater stage, unfortunately. But I think why they don't is because they're very hard stories to really get across in that way and to get it out of the foreboding thing. But the thing about Lost Boys, I kept saying to myself, it's got bloody humor in it. It's got so much great humor. There's so many incredible characters, like the Frog Brothers, and Star, and the Mother. All those things that could have a great story.
Sure.
And if you don't delve into the blood-sucking aspect and just really how I cracked the code for myself was just pop culture it. I basically started sketching the book, getting the idea formed in a really high-end where there's dialogue, and if you listen to the musical soundtrack, everybody, you can hear pieces of dialogue in between, because it gives a gist of the story. And it was a way in which my producers thought, this music is so good, let's pick the key songs that we're going to use, that we know that will go into play, and put that and thread it with dialogue that you've written, which I've written. I thought, that's a cool idea. And then we went ahead and put that much together, and so far fans have responded really favorably to it, because it's blasphemous if you take Lost Boys and fuck it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
It's not even blasphemous, it's just wrong. In my music, I don't want to give too much away. David goes across the country to end up in Santa Carla. By the time he gets to be a teenager, he wants to go take his mom and dad's VW bus that they had from the 60s and go. This is we're coming into 1985 now. Cross country trip means he picks up Dwayne in St. Louis, he picks up Marco in Albuquerque, and he picks up Paul in Arizona.
That's so cool.
And they all come from single moms.
Okay.
So we ran the parallel of what that is.
Nice.
Enter Max. He is the ultimate father figure. But his eye is on David, because he really believes that David is the one. So we still stay in the same genre, all the way up through the time the movie came.
Yeah.
So we don't go, it's not current day, it's staying where it is, but you give a backstory.
One of the things that sounds awesome about this, and that I've always found interesting, is when you come back to material after, so long after the original has been released, and you sort of flip the script, and now we're taking it from what the movie presented as the villain side. And there's this sort of new growing theme in the zeitgeist of pop culture now, where we're all heroes and villains of everybody else's stories. So if you're the hero in your story, you're the villain to somebody else. If you took that perspective and flipped it. So one of the things I'm immediately gravitating towards about what you're saying is that we've got so much of the tragedy of David being explored in your story, and that it's almost, if you took the story from David's perspective in the beginning, you could see someone like Michael coming along and being the new guy in town and stealing his girlfriend. It's very much the things aren't always what they seem when you just look at the surface.
Yeah. And David, by no means, just because of his foreboding factor and just obsessed with the immortality thing, he, as much as he loves it, he hates it more. So because he realizes what he can get away with in this lifetime.
And there's a lot of pain.
But he's no wimp, that's for sure. And we never got away. He's still cooler than ever.
Oh yeah.
And he has to be.
Yeah.